Hi guys, so before we begin, I just want to make a few edits to this document, right? We're actually not going to do this section at the bottom that says evaluate. So this bottom half, we're actually going to put a big X through. We're not going to do that anymore, okay? So let's call this, just to have more space, let's call this one example 1. And then we're going to show our work over here for example 1, example 2. And we'll show our work over here for example 2. And example 3. And we'll show our work over here for example 3. Alright, that way it's nice and organized for us. And again, this we can get rid of. Okay. So now let's get into the lesson. Alright, we are recapping identifying like terms and combining like terms. But before we get into that, let's talk about what is a like term. Like terms have the same variable, and another word for variable is the letter, and the same exponent. Right, so like 4x and negative 2x. That works. 2y squared and 10y squared. That works. What doesn't work is something like negative 4x and negative 2x squared. Because if you look here, they have the same variable. That's good. But here, they need to have the same exponent, and these don't. So this example does not work. I'm going to cross it out. Alright, but this example is good because same variable, same exponent. Same variable, same exponent. Alright, so let's look at example 1. I'm going to use colors like we did in class. So I'm going to start off with green. So the first term I see has an x squared. So I'm going to identify anything else that has an x squared. So I see one here. One here, and one here. So those variables are all the same. Now over here in the example 1 section, I'm going to list that first group with all my x squareds. Okay, now I want to simplify that. Alright, I'm going to make it one term based off of all of these. I'm going to combine them. And when I combine them, I'm only combining these coefficients, or the numbers in front. Alright, so in my calculator, I'm going to do negative 4 minus 6, minus 4, minus 4. So when I plug that in, give me a second while I type it in. That gets me negative 18x squared. So that is going to go into my answer. So that is all my x squareds put together into 1. So now let's do the same for the next term we see. So the next thing I see is a y squared. So now I'm going to group together all my y squares. I look down, that's an xy, it doesn't count. Here's another one, and that's it. Alright, so now I'm going to group those two together. Negative y squared plus 4y squared. In my calculator again, I'm just doing the coefficients, the negative 1 plus 4, and that equals 3y squared. That's going to go in my answer. Alright, moving on. Next thing I see is the 2xy and a 7xy. And I'm going to do the same for all my xy's because they are like terms and have the same variable. I'm going to group them together over here. On my side for my work, I have a 2xy. And same thing when I put that in my calculator, I'm only worrying about the numbers in front or the coefficients. And that gets me 0xy, which is the same thing as 0. So I actually can write plus 0, or I don't have to write it at all. So my final answer when I'm simplifying and I'm all done is negative 18 x squared plus 3y. All right, let's do example number 2 together. All right, first term I see has an n, so I'm going to find anything else with that same variable and same exponent. So I'm only looking for things with an n. I think I got them all. Let me scan again. Good. So we're going to go ahead and group it. Okay. In my calculator, I'm going to put all of my coefficients. And when I get that, I get (49) n. So that's going to go in my answer. Next up, I have my n squared, so I'm going to find anything else with my n squared. And group that together. That gets me 5n squared. That goes in my answer. Lastly, I see numbers, or as we call those, constants. -10, 1, -2. Those are also going to get grouped together. And that gets me -11. And that also goes in my answer. So my final answer is 49n plus 5n squared minus 11. And that is fully simplified. Why don't you go ahead and try example number 3. Alright, so at this point you gave example number 3 a try. If you got stuck, that's okay, but let's go over it. So the first term I see is my y's. And if you got it, that's great. Just use this to check your answers. Alright, sorry, I gotta zoom out a little bit. 14y. And that gets me 55y. Next, I have my y squareds. That gets me 11y squared. And lastly, you'll notice that this one's by itself, so there's nothing to combine it with, but it still has to go in our answer. So I still have to add 12 at the end. So our final answer, which you might have gotten, is 55y plus 11y squared plus 12. Alright, if you have any questions, make sure to type it in after the video ends.